Hi, and welcome to this session on what's new in Excel reports for finance and sales. My name is Brian Nielsen. I'm a program manager in Business Central team. With me, I have Kenny.
Yeah, my name is Kenny Pontoppidan. I'm also a program manager in the Business Central team. And we have an exciting agenda for you today. We've been looking forward to showing you these new Excel reports that are coming in the base app. And we'll show off some of the reports in the finance area and the sales area. Then we'll also talk about upcoming reports that are coming in the next waves or next releases. And then no Business Central launch event without Copilot. So of course we'll demo some Excel Copilot on Business Central data. But let's get started. First thing about reports is you need to discover where they are. Right? So we have at least 3 ways for you to do that. First of all, on the accountant's role center, under Excel reports, you can find these new. They are marked with preview for now, because we might have some design changes we want to do, but they're fully functional, should be. They would also appear on, because they are on the role center, in the Role Explorer or Report Explorer. So easiest thing I have is simply to search for preview in the Report Explorer, and then they pop up here. And then, of course, you can always use the Tell Me search, and they will also surface here. But instead of seeing how to discover the reports, maybe, Brian, we should take a look. So what's new in finance? What do we have here?
Yeah. So for finance, we have the trial balance-based reports. It's probably the first thing you want to look at in Excel when you have an ERP system. But if we take a look at my system here, where I have the reports, you said the accountant role center. It's actually also on the business manager role center, and of course you can find them in Tell Me. They are placed under reports. For the business manager role center, we have all of them. All in this release means we have 8 of them. The trial balances, age receivables, age payables, and the top list. In the accountant role center, we don't have the vendor reports. Anyway, so let's take a look at the reports, how they look in Excel. And for the trial balance-based reports, let's just look at the trial balance. When you select it, you get the request page, where you have a few filters. We try to make it as simple as possible, so you won't see that many filters and parameters, because you just want your data for a report, and then you can refine it in Excel. So in this case, we'll just take the first 3 periods of data, and then we download it, and we can open it from our Explorer and continue in Excel. So let's look at that. In Excel, you have some sheets in the Excel workbook. The first one is obviously the trial balance that you would expect. It is laid out as a report so that you can recognize that this is the trial balance. You got your data that you selected in your request page. You have some slicers for easy filtering if you want to. Dimensions and account categories are the ones that we put up as default. You can put up more in some of the reports. In this case, it's local currency, additional reporting currency. 2 different reports, they look very similar, except that 2 different amount bases. There will be numbers. Demo data is a bit sparse, but you'll find it here. So you have a report that is laid out as something you could print. So if you wanted a printed report or present it to somebody else, instead of just the raw data, you have a template for it. You can, of course, modify it. You have the raw data, and that means you can design your own reports. You can use it to pivot table. You can use it for charting. You have the dimensions if you want to have some slices that make a lookup, something like that. But the base thing with Excel report is you get your data. But Excel has some limitations. Excel cannot handle millions of rows. So for the trial balance, we have decided that the aggregation level is, of course, accounts the periods that you have selected. So you don't have a daily total. You just have for the period, but we have broken it down per dimension values in this case, where we have also included account categories, there's a further breakdown there. So you can have your slices and do a bit of slicing and dicing on the data that you have selected. There will be more reports where you have a finer grain of detail, but you will then have to limit what you extract to Excel, because we have an upper limit, but we found out that when we're looking at data, around that 100,000 rows is what is manageable performance-wise. So aggregated data, but it's still a lot more data than you have in a PDF report.
Yeah.
The next set of reports?
So next set is sales, because not everyone is a lot of finance like you do, Brian. So maybe as a sales manager, I want to contact some customers, or maybe I want to see what they owe us with 8 accounts. Can we see some of what that could be used for the sales manager?
Yeah. So where sales and finance crosses borders is 8 account receivables. We also included, just for familiarity, the customer top report, and that is a top list. And because we are in Excel, you can select, it doesn't have to be top 10, it can be top 100 or just top 3. You can do a bit of more filtering and then download it. The top report will then look like this. It's a very simple report. It is a very simple data set. We thought that maybe you just wanted just to have a list of your top customers, sales or balance-wise, and we put in a chart. That's the most simple report you probably can get in Business Central data. 8 account receivables is probably, together with payables, the second most important set of reports you can have. You can have an aging date, end of March probably. You want to do it by a due date, the usual period length, and period count will take 3 periods. And you can skip customers with zero balance. You know that from the RDLC report. And you can do a bit of filtering. And you can download it. Again, the first page, the first tab in the spreadsheet is something that looks like a printable report. You can move the slices a bit away. You can move the headers if you want a more condensed view, or if you have more periods, you can extend it a bit. But it looks printable and presentable. We thought by period, by local currency, by the functional currency where you get the currency of the outstanding balance. In our demo data, there's only local currency, but if there were more, it would be a breakdown here. We can have it due by currencies. It's a different way of looking at your data, just to show that you now have data that you can slice and dice and present in a different way interactively. Again, we have aggregated data. In this report, you don't get all of the detailed data. You do get a detail per customer, per period, and again, you can see there's a breakdown in dimensions. So if you want the finer grain of detail, you will wait for some of the coming releases.
And I think, Brian, this also illustrates that the strength, a couple of strengths for Excel reports. Like if you have a traditional report that just gives you one PDF, first of all, you cannot interact. So the slicer part, you can't do with PDF. And getting the data set, you can't do with PDF. All the self-service for laying out the data you want is what Excel offers. But also these different worksheets, you actually have one report that covers 3 reports in a sense. So ability on the same data set to offer different views on data is where Excel really shines.
Yeah.
But Brian, you also mentioned that we will have some upcoming reports. So you mentioned 8 is coming here in version 24 or in the release wave 1. What else have you up your sleeve here?
So when we set out to do the Excel report, we had a list of, I think it was 35 reports. And then when you start looking at it, some other reports look similar, so you include them in the list. In this release, in the first wave, April wave, we have released 8 reports, the trial balances and payables and receivables and the top reports. We want to include more finance reports, the consolidation reports, the closing trial balances, We want to include more reports for customers and vendors, the balance to date reports where you will get the customer and vendor ledger entries. And if you filter, so you have, for example, last year, which hopefully is not 100,000 for whatever segment you're interested in, you have your customer and vendor detailed ledger entries. Sorry, not the detailed ledger entries, but the ledger entries where you can create reports that have a finer granularity than the age receivables and payables report. And then we move on to other areas. We focus on sales and finance and a bit of purchase first, and then we extend to other areas. The next other area is probably going to be fixed assets, where you have the asset list and you have depreciations. You want to maybe combine it what you have in purchase and GL. And then we move on to some of the other modules, the jobs module, manufacturing, maybe service. Maybe we won't cover all of the reports because the intent is with Excel, you'll get a good overview of your business. And then from there on, there's probably better tools and ways to analyze data. But there's a lot more reports coming for Excel over the coming releases, both in minor releases and of course also in the next major.
Cool. Thanks, Brian. That looks amazing. Also, I come from the platform, so actually getting some reports into the base app is amazing to see. Hopefully this will also inspire both you as a customer, but also the partners to build your own new Excel reports and have this new way of interacting with data in a broader scope. All right, Copilot. So right now in preview, as of April or March 2024, there's also new things coming in Excel. And since Excel reports are in Excel, and we also have Open in Excel that gives you data in Excel, we thought, wouldn't it be interesting to actually see what's coming so that once you have data in Excel, you might do your further data analysis directly there. And that's what Copilot in Excel is all about. First of all, go deeper in data, maybe ask questions with Copilot or understand data better. And also identify insights in data. And specifically for insights, the great thing about machine learning and AI is that sometimes it's better at looking at patterns in greater data sets than we as people are. And that's actually a small demo that I think could be interesting to have Copilot look at some data sets and identify some patterns. All right, so Brian, you didn't want to show us the accounts payable report, but this report actually had some funny data to analyze, so I picked that one. But I'm not going to use the normal reports. I'll actually just go directly into the data set. And for Copilot to have some data to work on, it needs a little bit more than just the 5 rows that maybe is present in our demo data. So what we did was we pumped that vendor aging data up a bit, so we now have 100,000 rows of data. And let's see what Copilot can help us on. So I will just go up here in the ribbon and activate Copilot for Excel. This is in preview right now. And let's see if we can find some interesting patterns in our data. Copilot will give us or give me some choices, and I want to analyze, so I'll just pick Analyze. And Copilot is very nice and says it can analyze data, and it's actually suggesting outliers. So I'll just pick, are there any outliers in my data? And let's see what Copilot comes up with. Understanding your data, great, we're almost there. All right, so apparently there are some outliers in the data set, and I would like just to add this to a new worksheet so I can look more into it and maybe take this suggested visual that Excel added or for this pivot and see that apparently there are at least 4 dates in my data set that look not necessarily suspicious, but these are for this particular vendor things I might want to go in and have a second look. And that's also what we always do with Copilot. We have machine learning on AI to suggest something for a human being to go and control. So I'm always in the loop. I will go and check these for this vendor, these dates, to see if something is odd. Either we made a mistake, they made a mistake, or maybe it's totally fine transactions.
So instead of using the report and slice and dice yourself to find something where you have a suspicion where there's something to look at, you just let Copilot do that work, and you can spend more time on actually analyzing data rather than finding data to analyze. Yeah.
So this is just statistics. It might be perfectly fine, but it seems that there's some variance that cannot be explained, and that's what Copilot in Excel shows us. So, to learn more about data analysis, business intelligence, reporting, including things in Excel, go to aka.ms/BC reporting. This is the end user documentation for this interesting topic. So Brian, did we have some go-dos for people to take home?
Yes, because there's a lot of new things to go and do. There are new reports. Look at them, start analyzing your data, and maybe also start using Copilot to analyze your data. And lastly, now that you have a data set, you can go and create your own report based on these data sets, and of course the data sets that come with the future reports. So start digging into it.
So Brian, I noticed that you just skipped the Report Explorer part, which I think is a shame. I know you think it's like not useful, but I actually know that a lot of users don't know that this thing exists for discoverability. So maybe next time you go to Business Central, go open the Report Role Explorer and actually see if there are things there that you never knew existed, and go explore more.
Yeah, because it has all the reports rather than just the ones that you have in your role center, or the ones that you know exist.
Yeah.
So it's a nice place to start.
Finally, relevant launch sessions to also watch. If you want to dig more into the editing of layouts, maybe for developers is a bit tough, but we do have a session for how to do layouts, Excel layouts that are translatable if you want to do these multi-language reports. So go check that out if you have a bit of courage.
But then, can I ask, do you need to be a developer?
You don't actually need to be a developer to do Excel layouts, that's true. The only thing you need a developer for is to create the data set that needs to happen in AI.
Not if you're using, hopefully, the soon coming 35 reports. You can create layouts on top of that, right?
That's true, yeah. That's one of the benefits of Excel. Yeah. As always, some general resources for you in Business Central. So we have these AKA links. We call them aka.ms/BC Yammer is where we discuss things with partners. BC All is for all the, just like Lord of the Rings. This is the one AKA link to rule them all. BC Ideas is where you submit ideas for new features, and then on social media, X, LinkedIn, and so on. We are, of course, present there, so join the conversation there. And finally, for office hours, both recordings and live, BC Office Hours is your friend. And with that, Brian and I would like to say thank you.